My name is Deb Depape, and I'm president of the Optimist Club. We are here today to recognize an unwavering dedication and teamwork of our police officers and firefighters. These remarkable individuals stand as the first line of defense, working tirelessly to protect and serve us all. In moments of crisis, they respond with courage and compassion, often risking their own lives to ensure our safety. As we recognize their exceptional service, let us reflect on the sacrifice they make and the profound impact they have on our lives. Together, they embody the spirit and collaboration and resistance that strengthens our community. At this time, I'd like to recognize any of the families of our firefighters and police officers who are here. If you could please rise. Anyone else? We totally understand the sacrifices that you make on a daily basis. At this time, I'd like to recognize and thank our area businesses who have helped to support this morning's breakfast. The club pays for every police officer and their family member attending, and then we get the defrayed donations from businesses like the Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union, the St. Clair Shores Hockey Association, Bagnasco and Calcaterra Funeral Home, Dignity Memorial Call Funeral Home, and Michigan United Credit Union. Thank you for joining us and honoring this commitment and service this morning. At this time, I'd like to ask our club vice president to come forward.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. Our 12th year here with two wonderful departments that are there 24/7 all the time for us. It's great to know that when you pick up the phone and call, they're there. Trust me, I know I had to use them in March to get up off the bedroom floor after my surgery. They were so busy that night with two working fires that the girl at the 911 center said, "I will find somebody to help you up into bed." About 20 minutes later, two guys arrived, and I said, "Where are you guys from?" And they said, "We're from Harrison Township." We get their cooperation all over the place. And we give them our cooperation when they need our help going the other way too. So it's a big thank you to you men and women who serve us as our protectors 24/7. This morning I'd like to start out by introducing our city council, people that were able to come this morning. I'm going to start out with the councilwomen. Linda Burgess. Candace Rusi. Ron Frederick. Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Dave Rebello. Our two city departments today, Denise Pike, St. Clair Shores Community Service Director. Denise here? And Matt York, from the Housing Commission. Matt? Where would we be without three wonderful school districts to help our kids along to graduate? From Lakeshore, Dr. Joe DePonio. From Lakeview, Carl Paulson. And from South Lake, Ted Von Hiltmeyer. 12 years ago, we started this project, and we had a fellow in our club who has been with us and helped us in every way he could. I'd like to introduce a friend of mine, a club member, a past mayor of this city, Bob Heisen, and his wife Nancy. I would like to bring up to the mic Amelia Kowalski. She will sing the national anthem. After the color guard posts the colors and the national anthem is sung, please remain standing for the invocation from Father Jim Cummin from St. Lucy's Parish. Watch that light. Who's going to do the pledge, guys? Start the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bring it back to me.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Bob, colors, march. Post colors, post.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing of another day and the beauty that continues to burst forth in springtime. Thank you for the brave men and women who serve as police officers and firefighters in our local community. Their dedication, their courage, and their sacrifice keep us safe. We are grateful and recognize their unwavering commitment to protecting others. Lord, we ask your blessing upon them. Strengthen them in times of challenge, guide them in times of uncertainty, and grant them peace in their hearts. May they always feel the support and the appreciation of those that they serve. We also pray for their families who stand by them with love and encouragement, and may they find comfort in knowing their loved ones are fulfilling a noble calling. As we recognize and celebrate their achievements today, let this gathering then be a reminder of the honor and the respect that they deserve. May their work continue to be a beacon of hope and safety for all. Bless our time together and the food that we share, those that have sponsored, those who have generously served and prepared it for us. We entrust to your care, though, those who lack food this day, and those who are lonely with no friends to share it with. We ask all these blessings through Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit and promises to remain with us forever and ever.
Amen. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Amelia. You can be seated. You will be called by table to go out to the buffet line.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to get started with the awards presentations. So thank you, everyone, for coming on out. I'd like to thank Father Jim for doing the invocation. As I'm sure most of you are aware, our station has been demolished on purpose. We're getting a new station, and the police department and the fire administration are now housed temporarily in St. Lucy's School. So Father Jim is our landlord, no pun intended. It didn't go over as well as when you said it. So it's been a pleasure working with him and his staff. We're finally getting settled in after about 6 months. And in April or May, hopefully, is the goal to move out and into our new station. I'd also like to thank all of our optimists, especially Dave and Debbie. They spent a lot of time getting this organized and set up, and I know all the volunteers helped get the whole place set up for us with all the decorations. It's always a great event. Thank you, too, to all the sponsors, our elected officials who are here, the educators, the police and fire department members and families, and we couldn't do our jobs without your support throughout the year. A lot of great work is done by our officers on a daily basis, but certain activities deserve special recognition. Our supervisors are encouraged to document good deeds and submit them to our awards committee, where they're then reviewed and the determination is made on who will receive a commendation. So that brings us to today. Deputy Chief Matt McAllister is here with me. He'll assist with the certificate. So when I read your name off, come on up. I'll give a brief synopsis of the incident, and then we'll get you your certificate. The actual ribbons and devices will be given out at the station. So our first one, Officer Phil Ann. On January 16th of 2024, Officer Ann was working the front desk of the station. A man called and asked for a suicide prevention number. Officer Ann advised that he could help him and built a rapport, and the man told him he wanted to hurt himself and that he had a weapon with him. Officer Ann directed other officers to the man's location as he continued to speak with him. Once officers were on scene, Officer Ann gave instructions about putting the weapon aside and to step out with his hands up so officers could safely take him into custody. That was all done without issue, and then the man was taken to the hospital for mental health assistance. So Officer Ann's actions have earned him a life-saving commendation. The next one, Officers Brandon Cawley, Jim Paselk, and Chris Provost. Officer Cawley couldn't make it here today, but the other two are here. Come on up. On July 23rd of 2024, officers were dispatched to the Lakefront Park, right over here at Martyr and Jefferson, for a car that had driven into the lake. The car was approximately 30 yards offshore and was submerged up till just only the top of the roof was sticking out of the water. Several citizens that were on scene helped the driver out of the vehicle onto land prior to our arrival, but she was very distraught and insisted that her son was still in the car. These officers removed their gear, jumped into the lake, swam out to the car. They searched in the car and around the car for several minutes without finding anybody. At the same time, officers on land were interviewing witnesses, and they described only one person being in that vehicle. So it turned out the woman had had a mental health crisis and had driven into the lake intentionally. There was nobody else in the car with her. But their actions showed that they were willing to jeopardize their own safety to help someone. So because of their actions, they've earned a unit citation. Oh, that's all right. Officer Mark Stevelink. On August 14th, 2024, officers were dispatched to Martyr and Jefferson for a serious injury crash involving a motorcycle. Officer Stevelink was first to arrive and observed the female motorcyclist on her back in the intersection with numerous severe injuries. While monitoring her status, she stopped breathing. Officer Stevelink began CPR, and as paramedics arrived, she began breathing on her own. Paramedics took over treatment, transported her to the hospital. She still has some medical issues today, but she's alive. Officer Stevelink has earned the life-saving award. And Officer Matthew Kerrigan. On September 3rd of 2024, officers were dispatched to the foot of Statler Street, which is where the end of Statler meets the lake, if you're not familiar with the foot of term, for an unconscious man on an inflatable raft-type vehicle, approximately 100 yards offshore. Officers were picked up by a resident, and he took them out to that inflatable on his boat. The inflatable was unstable and couldn't be towed by the boat to shore. The man was unconscious, had agonal breathing, so Officer Kerrigan took off his gear, jumped in the water, grabbed the raft, swam the approximate 100 yards to shore, and then was able to, with the assistance of the fire department, to get him onto land and then to the hospital for treatment. Based on our investigation, this was a suicide attempt, and the man survived, and Officer Kerrigan earned a life-saving commendation. That's all I have. I know I went through that fairly quickly, but I know Chief Piper is anxious to get up here, so thank you all for attending. We appreciate your support, and I'll turn it over to Chief Piper. Thank you.
I feel like these mics are at the wrong setting for me. Morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I copied the police department. We went for a thicker stack of awards this year, so I let Jason do all the thanks, and we just have more awards this year. No. On a serious note, I don't want to reiterate everything he said, but I do want to echo our heartfelt thanks to everyone that supports us, the family, the club members, the community members that make us take this moment out to pause and appreciate kind of the cool work that we all actually get to do every day, and the fact that we have community members, council members, civic organizations that want to take a moment and have the police and fire recognize just all the really exceptional things that we get to do is it's an honor. So thank you for this. We appreciate it. I always feel like what we have going here is almost inadequate because of what we get to do every day. I know the firefighters, they'll be even kibitzing over at the table because some of the stuff we do is just coming to work. But but when you stop and think about the fires that we get to go to, the lives that we actually make an impact, whether it's something serious as your heart stopping or something that maybe is only serious to that individual at the time, that makes an impact. And so what we get to do is really fantastic. So it's been an interesting time frame. 2024 was an interesting year in that a lot of things going on, but it was also a very common year. Some of the life-saving awards we're going to get to here in a minute talk about, most of them this year we centered around what we call ROSC, Return of Spontaneous Circulation. So nationally, it's already a pretty low percentage of the people who come back. When your heart stops, it's usually done, right? You'd like to think we lived a good life and it's time to move on and go on to the next place. But the fact that the technology exists, the skills exist out there that can bring these people back is literally nothing short of amazing. So while some of these calls may at least the guys and gals over in my department are going to think it's pretty mundane, because that's literally what we do at least once a week, if not once a day. But it's truly humbling to stop and think that we were put in place to be able to make a difference. So to our crews, to the police officers that show up exceptionally fast on scene as well, working together, we make a huge difference, and it's truly pretty wild. So the first award that we have, and I apologize, a couple of these folks couldn't be here today because of a lot of training. Summertime, it's like construction season for the state of Michigan. There's only so many months of the year where you can get a lot of good training. So we have a lot of people out at training today. Schools are getting out. My own wife is counting down like she's on a deployment, 2 days and a wake up, I think, for East Point schools. So there's a lot going on. So thank you for everyone that was here this morning and took time out to be here. So for our firefighter of the year is actually an officer this year. And I could not have come up with a better citation for it. So I'm going to read the citation that was written for him from one of our battalion chiefs. So it's with great pride and admiration we recognize Lieutenant Tom Bench as Firefighter of the Year. His outstanding leadership, steadfast professionalism, and commitment to excellence set a standard to which we all aspire. Throughout his service, Lieutenant Bench has exemplified the highest standards of integrity, courage, and dedication. As a leader, he consistently inspires confidence and unity among his team, guiding others with a steady hand in times of adversity and supportive presence in times of growth. His ability to lead not only by direction but by example has had a lasting impact on the morale and performance of those around him. Above all, Lieutenant Bench is a model of positivity and professionalism. Whether on the fire ground, in the station, or among the community, his presence brings calm, motivation, and a deep sense of purpose to all who serve beside him. There are, however, occasions in which leadership takes a different face. During difficult and complex calls, members of the team must pivot from their usual roles to meet the demands of the situation. Such a moment occurred on the evening of June 16, 2024, when one of our ambulances was called to a residence of a 67-year-old male experiencing obstructed airway. Upon arrival, the two paramedics found the resident on the ground struggling to breathe. Family members confirmed the choking occurred during dinner. After the paramedics' initial attempts to dislodge the obstruction were unsuccessful, they quickly assessed the patient's deteriorating condition and determined additional manpower was necessary. They requested one of our paramedic engines to respond to the scene. Upon its arrival, the four responders worked together to assist the now decompensating patient as the resident began to lose consciousness. Lieutenant Bench took a pair of medical forceps and with deliberation and expertise, successfully located and removed the piece of food obstructing the patient's airway. The patient immediately began breathing on his own and with supplemental oxygen regained full consciousness while en route to the hospital. He later made a full recovery and was discharged with no lasting deficits. There's no doubt that Lieutenant Tom Bench's quick thinking, clinical skill, and decisive leadership directly contributed to saving the man's life. In recognition of his qualities and invaluable contributions, the St. Clair Shores Fire Department, in conjunction with the Optimist Club, is proud to present Firefighter of the Year Award to Lieutenant Tom Bench. He exemplifies the true spirit of service, leading with honor, compassion, and unwavering humility. All right, the next one, let's see. I think they all ran off on the call, or he's hiding over there. Brian, are you over there? All right, so if I could get Brian Paluzny up. The other two for this this award are Chad Hyvenen and Cosette Wojciechowski, who ran off on this call earlier. I thought they'd be back by now for you, Brian. Sorry. So as I was saying, what some of the things that we get to do, fire department is in the name. That's probably the coolest thing that we get to do some days is go fight fire. But we are kind of masters of all kinds of trades for the fire department if you think about what we get to do. Fires, EMS, technical rescue, animal rescue, water rescues. There's all kinds of things that we actually have to be proficient in, and usually the call comes out for one thing and you're going, and other times you have to pivot at a moment's notice. So this particular call, there was a fire that we were doing for automatic aid in Roseville. Our crews show up to be part of that fire attack. And very quickly, Roseville had already gotten a patient out, and there was an unresponsive patient with no heartbeat at the time from the fire. Our crews, recognizing the life safety portion of it, changed direction really quickly and moved into EMS mode and grabbed up this patient, and were able to work them, get them to the hospital. And I don't even know if they heard about this as far as the outcome, but a patient whose heart was stopped due to this fire was discharged from the emergency room 5 hours later, based on the great work of this particular crew. So I'll read the award here, and you can have the ones for your teammates there as well. So St. Clair Shores Fire Department Letter of Commendation. In recognition of your quick decision-making and rescue efforts on September 6, 2024, while on scene of a mutual aid fire, your quick actions and flexible response while recognizing the serious situation in front of you saved lives. Your performance and that of your crew led directly to the resuscitation of a fire victim. Being ready for all types of emergencies and excelling in all situations is part of what makes you a St. Clair Shores firefighter. Your high-speed problem solving brings great credit upon yourself, this department, and the city. The St. Clair Shores Fire Department recognizes your performance above and beyond our already excellent standard. On behalf of the fire department and the city of St. Clair Shores, you are to be commended for your actions, an example of excellence in the fire service. So, great job. Give you that. Here, you can have these two as well. I wouldn't go far. Just hang tight. So also some more people are in here. So we've got for this next group, so Lieutenant Keith Benando, Lieutenant Scott Campbell, if you'd come up, Dan Horde, Battalion Chief Chad Hyvenen, Jeff Knutson, Aaron Piper, Brian Paluzny, Eric Retzbach, and Cosette Wojciechowski again. She's going to miss them all. So part of this also stems, so there's, as I was mentioned before, a lot of the great things that we get to do in our job as part of the department. And you have a pretty good day if you have a really interesting car accident, or if you have a good fire that you get to go to, or have a particularly memorable EMS call. This group that day had what by almost all objective measures was a pretty interesting shift. We had a structure fire, a code, and a car accident with extrication that came in. So as if the one serious call wasn't enough, the fire call, as the crews were getting finished up and coming back, a call came in on the north side of the town for a traffic accident. Initially just came in as a traffic accident with chest pain. So the kind of thing that we go to all the time, pretty easy engine and ambulance response, not a whole lot to it. Then when the crew got on scene, they realized that they had a bigger problem and called out additional units. So I'm going to read part of what the officer that put in for this particular recognition wrote. So last night we had 2 runs that individually would stand out, and the fact that they came in back-to-back is even more impressive. The first came in as a house fire with double entrapment in Roseville. As our crews were arriving and walking up, Roseville was carrying out one unresponsive victim. The firefighters laid down the patient on the lawn, and our crews jumped into action and began chest compressions and patient care. Squad 1 took over full patient care and were able to get pulses back. Transported the patient to St. John, this is the call we were talking about before, with the BC driving, where they continued care. As we were leaving the Roseville scene, Squad 3 was requested to fill the vacancy, and Squad 1 left, and the crews assisted to, again, continue fighting the fire. Lots of emergencies come in at the same time, so we're handling all these at the same time. Upon returning from and cleaning up from the fire, we heard Engine 3 get dispatched to a car accident that ended up being a serious double extrication in the far north end of the city. While Station 1 was responding, the crew from Station 3 managed patient care on both vehicles while extricating the higher priority patient with minimal manpower. Upon Station 1 arrival, we assisted in getting the first patient out who had an open leg fracture and was not conscious. After Squad 3 transporter, we dealt with a prolonged extrication on the second vehicle with a patient who was entangled. While extrication was happening, squad medics started ALS treatment of the patient in the vehicle and delivered medication and pain management to keep the patient comfortable and stable, all while still entrapped in the vehicle. This patient was eventually removed and transported for further care. Between these 2 calls, I was able to witness the professionalism, knowledge, and experience of all our members involved. I was trying to figure out if I could put in a couple of individuals for commendation, but I realized that every single member not only excelled at their job, but did so well working seamlessly with outside departments while working without a full complement of manpower available to them as it was coming in. So that's why these individuals are receiving a unit citation for their work, teamwork, ability to kind of move on the fly and change direction and come together for a positive outcome for their patients and for this city. So thank you very much. Good job. Good job. You can go down. We'll let you sit down. I think you're coming back up again, though, Brian. All right. So if Nick McCormick, Anthony Porta, who's not here today, Dan Sebastian, and then Josiah Wood, who's also not here today, if you guys could come up, get a life-saving award. So again, what I was talking about before, it's pretty amazing that when a patient's heart does stop, that we actually have the tools, the training, and the ability to actually intervene with that and get a patient successfully back. I meant to check the number, but in my head it's like something like 34% is the national average. So basically if you go down, it's only about a 1 in 3 chance. In St. Clair Shores, that number is a little bit higher, which we're pretty proud of. And we continually train, get the best equipment that we can, and have that ability, and have crews like this that are ready to step in and do what's needed at a moment's notice. So on June 4th, 2024, a squad was dispatched to a male patient that came in CPR progress. They arrived to find the family attempting CPR, or performing CPR, excuse me, and then immediately stepped in and took over. We were able to give medications, provide shocks from the defibrillator, and through high quality care on scene, lots of times people don't necessarily realize that the best thing for the patient is work them right there. You don't move them until you've actually made a difference in their heart rate. And so this particular call, they were on scene for a little bit over 20 minutes and then providing high quality ACLS care and actually got the patient pulse back, moved into the ambulance, and then transported to the hospital. So for that, Nick McCormick, Tony Porta, Dan Sebastian, and Josiah Wood are all receiving St. Clair Shores Fire Department Life Saving Award. Good job, guys. I'll give you guys this one in a second. They ran off without the other one. job. All right, Martin, you get to come stand up here by yourself for a second. So this one, Jacob Busaka, Ian Griffin, Martin Miljan, and Jeff Schmoozer were all on this call. The other bit, I think I mentioned a little bit, this is a thing that happens pretty often. We get these calls, and we're quite lucky to do it. This isn't an all-inclusive list of the times that we got patients back. These ones this year were ones where their lieutenant or officer, someone on the scene, felt pretty strongly about the care that was given, and so put them in for an award. So on this particular call, June 19th, Squad 2 was dispatched to a private residence to respond for a male in cardiac arrest. Once they arrived on scene, they made contact with a friend that said they had passed out. I believe it's a witness arrest on this one. Lying in the living room, pulseless and apneic, no breathing, no pulse. The engine performed manual compressions and then they grabbed the the Lucas device is what we call it. That is a pretty fantastic device that one takes over, so one rescuer doesn't have to be actively doing CPR, and in and of itself does a pretty fantastic job of providing compressions, which is just another one of those great pieces of equipment that the city helps provide to us that we in turn use for our citizens, and it's amazing equipment that we have. So they hooked up the Lucas device, got an airway. Patient was ventilated, high O-flow oxygen. They gave IV access and shocked a total of 3 times and got the patient back into return to spontaneous circulation after that 3rd shock. They then transported the patient to the hospital and while the patient was showing some signs of possible heart attack on the monitor, they had a good pulse back and turned them over to the ER. So it was another fantastic example of what these crews can do. Good job. I forget, is that one your call or Jake's call? I know you were all there. Yeah, they all go together. Good stuff. All right. So this third one, Battalion Chief Bolin, if you'll come up, I think was on scene on this one at the time. So Adam Bolin, Jason Genuine, Tony Porta, and Ian Griffin were on this particular call. Again, being flexible in what we do, this particular call came in just as a patient complaining of dizziness and a little bit of trouble breathing. So we're sending our normal complement, and while they were en route, family had called back and updated the patient had collapsed and was now unresponsive. Squad 1 arrived on scene, and with Engine 3, they got their equipment, the stretcher, and went to the patient. When they started checking the patient, they realized that indeed no pulse, began ACLS efforts, started giving shocks and drugs, and within about 3 rounds, which is, sorry, I'm giving you EMS talk. So about 3 different times of giving drugs and giving shocks. You got to give the medicine, work that around a little bit, shock, do all that. So it's not fast, but it is still a fast-paced thing that's going around. Worked the patient very well and had return of spontaneous circulation and good vital signs for that patient, and then we're able to transport them to the hospital. So for that action, on February 10th, 2024, this crew has been awarded the Life-Saving Award. So good job. I'll give you these other ones. Cool. All right. This next group, so we have Jamie Meir, Aaron Piper, Eric Retzbach. Did they run out? They get a call? We lost Eric. He was here a second ago. And then Battalion Chief Walleman, recently retired, who I think was working overtime as the lieutenant that day. So on this one, on October 31st, Squad 3 was called for a patient choking with a complete obstruction. Dispatch advised us at the time that CPR instructions were being given, and then upon arrival, the Quint was doing CPR, and the squad was working with them as well. Patient moved to the stretcher into Squad 3 and placed on, again, that Lucas device to take over CPR and hooked up for defibrillation. Had a PEA on the monitor, which is not one of the best ones you want to have. None of them are great. I don't recommend any of it. Please just keep your heart going like it's supposed to be. We'll meet you at the fire station anytime. You don't have to call us out to your house for this. We'd rather meet you that way. Checked for an obstruction but didn't see anything. They were able to successfully and easily place a tube and then establish an IV. After they had a rhythm change, they started giving, after their medications, they noticed the pulse was back, CPR discontinued, transported the patient, and then started hanging more drugs in there. We have, again, great equipment, basically a rolling ER on these ambulances, and so it's another example of crews showing up, jumping into action right away, and getting a patient back. So for that, Jamie Mayer and his crew are awarded the St. Clair Shores Life-Saving Award. I'll give you these here. There you go. All right, this one, there you go. Matt left out. Did Chambers take off? He was here a minute ago, I thought, a little bit ago. All right, so this one, Matt Chambers, Andrew Beauregard, Ian Griffin, and Jeff Schmoozer. They got a call for possible shortness of breath. Upon arrival, patients was laying on the floor. They met the family, and they had started trying to do care. CPR was initiated, and then again, all the history taking, all of this that happens all at the same time that we're doing compressions and starting to give drugs for these patients to get them better was performed. And then this one, they had a little bit of trouble with IV access, so we had to do a different type of IV, which is, again, an interesting skill that we do. It actually goes into the bone rather than the vein that everyone's used to. Just one more interesting, exciting things that we're able to do. And then after 6 different shocks, the patient was brought back and had a pulse and transported to the hospital. So a fairly in-depth, difficult call that those 4 were on, and that's why for that call, Mr. Chambers and his crew are awarded the St. Clair Shores Life Saving Award. So. And then the last one that I have, Chief Bolin and Mr. Mayor, if you guys will come back up. There's also Brian Sears on this call and Mac Alexander that were on this call. Here we go. So this one was on July 20th, and so I'll read this one here. So Squad 1 and Quint 1 were dispatched for a patient obviously not breathing at a local store. Some of this has been redacted because we can't talk about all of it. Upon arrival, PD was on scene doing CPR on the patient, and it even shocked the patient. So even our police department members have this kind of knowledge to initiate CPR, have defibrillator, AEDs, automatic defibrillators in their vehicles. And this particular officer was thinking quickly and applying that to the patient. CPR was taken over by EMS because we were out and about, no family, we had no patient medical history. We do know that the patient was having an argument inside the store with someone, walked outside and collapsed. The patient was moved from the ground to the cot and moved into the ambulance. Once in the ambulance, the patient was placed on the cardiac monitor and was found to be in a shockable rhythm. Patient was shocked. CPR, advanced airway was given, the Lucas device was attached, and again, several rounds of drugs, worked the patient, got a pulse back after 5 different shocks. And again, that's not just like on TV where you see, hit them again. There's a lot happening in between the different shocks, okay? So this is a period of time that stretches out. We're ROSC was retrieved and a 12 lead was conducted. The other interesting note about this one, I was actually talking with Brian earlier. We had a call the other day, patient collapsed, the same kind of thing, CPR. He's like, hey, Chief, do we know what happened to this guy? No clue. We don't always know, right? Same thing on the police side. We interact with people for a period of time. We do the best we can. Sometimes we find out that, next month they're doing great, living their best life, and other times we don't know what happened. This particular patient was released from the hospital 6 days later to their home. So this was one of those really good ones where we had some cool patient care follow-up, and because of a fast call to 911, activating the system, rapid intervention by the patrol officer that was in that area and by the crews that showed up and did this fantastic job, this patient was able to go home after only 6 days. So that's why Jamie Mayer, Brian Sears, Adam Bolin, and Mac Alexander are awarded this St. Clair Shores Life Saving Award. Good job, guys. We didn't know how often you got here. So, there's that. You guys can have that. All right. And that's officially everything I have. So I would just like to say once more, thank you to the Optimist, and I'll turn it back over to Debbie. Thank you, ma'am.
Each year, as the officers are presented their awards here, we have a plaque that hangs on the walls in the station. This year, I have plaques, they're over on the table, that depict the officers that were presented today. Right now, I'm keeping the plaques so that they don't get lost in the midst of construction. The two chiefs know where they're at. And in spring, hopefully, I will take them back out and we'll rehang them on the walls in the two new stations. So if somebody wants to take a look at them, they're right there on the easels on the table. They're easier to leave there than to drag them over here and present them to the chief, have him give them back to me, and we have to put them back. So thank you guys. Congratulations to all who received your awards today.
Fire department went on a second plaque. The fire department went on a second plaque.
That's a third plaque.
Third plaque.
This new plaque that's up here is the third plaque for the fire department. I have one plaque at home that's a little bit bigger than these, and the second plaque for them is on the easel.
Joe Wilgott. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Well, I get the job to be the pitch man. We do a lot of things at the Optimists. We do the Christmas tree lighting, Santa Station. We do Pizza Palooza, and we're going to host the Guns and Hoses this year. But we also give scholarships to the kids in St. Clair Shores. And these scholarships are for students that have overcome adversity and have been challenged to graduate, not necessarily because they have great academics. We've had many good success stories, people opening businesses in the shores and continuing on for years. We fund this with our annual golf outing. You have applications on the table. If you need more, you can contact me. I'll gladly bring it. It's July 11th, Friday, at St. Clair Shores Golf Club. All the money goes to scholarships for students in St. Clair Shores. We would love to have you there. If you'd like to be a sponsor, there's also sponsor forms on the tables, and we'd love to see you out there golfing. Thank you.
I'd just like to take a real quick moment to recognize Ed Jones. He was a former Optimist Club member, a very active community member, and he passed away suddenly this morning. So just remembering Ed Jones. Not the same Ed Jones as the financial director. I want to take a moment again to thank each and every one of you for being here and, more importantly, for the service our police and firefighters provide to our community every single day. This breakfast is just a small gesture of our deepest gratitude. We hope you leave here today feeling appreciated, respected, and supported, not just today, but every day. And it wouldn't end if I didn't have one of my poems. So in closing, I'd like to share, in morning mist or midnight haze, you walk the line in quiet praise. One bears the badge, one dons the gear, both stand where others disappear. Through flashing lights and burning skies, where danger lives and hope still tries, you hold the line, protect and serve, with iron will and steady nerve. The firefighter, braving fire's roar, kicking down a smoke-filled door. A heartbeat racing through the heat to pull back life from death's defeat. The officer on streets unknown, guiding peace with heart of stone. With every step, a silent vow to shield the weak, to not back down. Different tools, but one true call to catch the ones who fear to fall. To stand for right and to act with grace, to risk your life, to save a face. So here's to you in blue and red, the ones who run where most have fled. May gratitude in every heart reflect the light you still impart. Please stay safe out there and know that we will stand with you. Now, I would just ask that the firefighters that are still here and the police officers and detectives that are still here, if you would be able to come up for a picture with your commanders. And I'd just like to say this is the first time we've had the most firefighters stay for a breakfast that didn't all have to stand up and leave for a call. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this morning's activity.